Hi everyone, we are going to talk about adjectives today, particularly prepositional phrases acting as adjectives. Now adjectives, boys, they're fairly easy, right? But they get a little bit tricky once they're in a phrase. And so we're really going to tackle that and decide and help you see how to find a phrase that is acting as an adjective. Okay, so let's just talk about what an adjective is. Let's refresh our minds. Adjectives, they modify. Okay, modify means we're describing, right? We are understanding, we are letting you know more about a noun or a pronoun. They match. The noun or pronoun and the adjective, they match. They belong together. Think about a pair of socks. How they match, they look like. Some don't even look like, but you know that they belong together. So that's what adjectives and nouns do. They belong together. Now, Dad and I, we match, right? We are a match. We belong together. And that's what you hear about couples. We belong together. Oftentimes, especially when we were building the house, if Richard put on a shirt, I would change my shirt to match him. And we come here and we look the same. And people know we belong together. When we've gone on trips, we buy the same shirt and we match. And also, I think couples sometimes look like they belong together. They just start looking like each other, in a sense. So the whole point of us talking about that is to remember when Richard and I go out together, I am walking next to him, either on one side of him or the other side of him. So we belong together. You can see that we belong together, we're a match. So the whole point of understanding that is to get in your mind, you're an obvious character together, but it's to get in your mind that, so that when you think about an adjective, what it does. Adjectives describe nouns and pronouns. Now pronouns replace nouns, so obviously the adjectives are going to describe pronouns also. So adjectives tell us about the noun or the pronoun, and it acts as a part of speech. I was sitting in my living room yesterday and I was looking at these really lovely candles that I purchased yesterday with these really beautiful flowers, and I decorated my windowsills with them, and so that's what you guys are going to get today. The candles below the sign were lovely. What's your prepositional phrase in there? Below the sign. Let's just box this off. Below the sign. So the candles below the sign, see how it's following the candle. When we're talking about the attributed position, when it's just a regular adjective, a single adjective all by itself, when it's right next to your noun or pronoun, oftentimes you see those in the front. Prepositional phrases typically, not always, follow the noun. Now this is sitting in the attributive position. Almost always your adjective will be right next to your noun. So that's one way to find it. If this right here is following the noun, then it's most likely going to describe this noun. Not always, but most likely. Sometimes you can put them before, but most of the time, prepositional phrases sound better to follow. All right, the flowers on my windowsill frames the picture of Douglas and his bride. And it's actually quite lovely how the flowers do that in my windowsill. All right. What are your prepositional phrases in there, boys?
Window.
On my window, let's still. And what?
Of to bride.
Of to bride. Okay, so now On my windowsill, what's the noun that it's describing? It's describing flowers. See how it's right next to it. So if you think about when Richard and I are walking together out on the street, if we're taking a walk or in the store, we're right next to each other. This is the attributive position. So the attributive position is either before or after. It has to be right next to the noun. Right next to it. So this right here, the, is the attributive position. This is an article, right? And it's an adjective describing flowers. This is the attributive position. And most of the time, adjectives, if it's just one word or a single word, if it's not acting as a phrase, they're typically in front, unless they're sitting in the predicate, then it's different. But they're typically in front of the noun. This is an attributive position, and this is an attributive position. If it's sitting right next to the noun, where do single adjectives go? Most of the time it goes in front. If it's describing, most of the time they'll go in front. Not always. That's not a rule. But most of the time, prepositional phrases will follow the noun. Okay, so the flowers is describing, this on my windowsill is describing flowers. But right here, of Douglas and his bride is describing what noun?
Picture.
Picture. So this prepositional phrase is acting as an adjective describing this noun right here. See how it's sitting in the attributive position. It's right next to your noun. Boom. It's following it, but it's right next to it. The lantern outside the door in the backyard beamed brightly. And I kind of added more as I went, because you can just keep adding on prepositional phrase after prepositional phrase to just be all this big elaborate thing. Remember, prepositional phrases are the workhorse of your sentences. It tells you so much. So where is your prepositional phrase in this sentence?
Outside the door.
Outside the door.
In the back. In the backyard.
In the backyard. Okay, so outside the door is describing what noun?
Lantern.
Lantern. So see, look, it's sitting in, are they next to each other? Are they holding hands? Are they a match? They belong together. The lantern is outside the door. This right here, this is describing outside, is describing this outside the door, is describing this noun. Okay, so in the backyard, what noun is this describing?
Door.
The door. See, look, this is this right next to its noun?
Yep.
It's sitting in the attributive position. So the attributive position means it is right next to the noun or the pronoun. This is right next to it. So look at the. This is the attributive position, but is this a single word?
Yeah.
So it typically will go in front. Prepositional phrases typically follow the noun. See how they're following? And look how they're just building on each other. So I did it even more here. The fireplace behind the couch on the main level of the house in London was hot. I just went all over the place with that, just to kind of show you how they just build and build on each other. So what are the prepositional phrases here? Start at the beginning.
Behind the couch.
Behind the couch.
On the main level.
On the main level.
Of the house.
Of the house.
In London.
In London. Okay, so see how you can just build right on top of each other. So behind the couch is a match to what noun?
Fire.
Fireplace. The fireplace is behind the couch. So on the main level is describing what noun? Couch. See, look, it's sitting in the attributive position. It's following the noun. See, this is your object of the preposition. Object of the preposition. Object of the preposition. These are all nouns right here. And object of the prepositions are all nouns, so they can just follow each other and describe and describe and describe, right? So, what of the house? What is that describing?
Level.
Nice. So, that is describing level. See, they can only describe nouns or pronouns. It's describing level. In London is describing what?
House.
House. See how they're sitting in the attributive position. If you wanted to, you could keep adding to London and then describe the next prepositional phrase off of London. You could keep going on and on and on. Like right here, I could have kept describing the candles below the sign. Can we put one on there? Below the sign, in the store, in London. See how you can just keep going over and over and over. Just keep describing. So, because I bought the candles yesterday in the store, right? We can keep going on and describing. It was below the sign, on the table, in the decoration section, in the decor section of the store,
In the back.
in the back. So you can just keep describing over and over and over. I hope that was helpful, and we will see you in the next lesson. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Bye.